As a parent, you do your best in raising your children. Surrounding them with love, nurturing them with empathy, encouraging them while teaching them right and wrong. All while doing your best to protect and provide for them. It is no easy task. Children differ from one another, each uniquely maturing in their own way. It is said that a child most often loses their innocence between the age of 18 and 21, when adolescents are no longer considered minors. This fascinates me, as this story revolves around two brothers. Michael aged 16 and Robert aged 18. Both who idolized school shooters and wanted nothing more than to be famous. Both discovering a greater awareness of evil. A recipe to one of Oklahoma's worst massacres. The story you're about to embark on is one that many may find disturbing. I warn you now, the details to the gruesome murder of the Beaver family may leave you uneasy. So please make yourself comfortable as we begin.
My name is Crystal, and I'm 13 years old. Some would say, I have my whole life ahead of me. Others who know me would understand that my life was stolen, as I'm now left haunted by the actions of my brothers. Monsters. Fueled by evil, only the devil could comprehend. This is my story. I always knew my older brothers were different. I just thought they were socially awkward, due to the lack of engagement outside of our family home. Our parents were the strict religious type. My father had a bit of temper. This made for a very difficult upbringing, as all 5 of my siblings including myself felt like we at times were living in a prison. My 2 older brothers have become very close because of this. They were always goofing around and videotaping themselves. For as long as I could remember, my oldest brother Robert always wanted to be center of attention, someone famous. If only we knew what the cost would be. We all had started noticing a difference in my older brothers when mom and dad got the internet, an open book to the world. For the most part, we only used it to help with our homeschooling. Occasionally our parents would allow us some free time to search whatever. We never took it upon us that my brothers would be infatuated in killings, particularly school shootings. It's something we all know is out there, but not something anyone would want to look up, especially at our age. Months went by as we noticed my brother's demeanors changing. His once goofy videos were now more private. I don't blame my parents, as most had no idea of the dangers that come with the internet, not at that time. The more time Robert put online, the more determined he became to making the headlines. It was even said at a later time that they wanted to kill 500 people, believing the act would make them gods. Such a narcissistic thing to say. On the evening of July the 22nd of 2015, we're all home as per usual. I had left my room to grab a drink from the kitchen. On my way I had passed Robert's room. I heard him and Michael ask me to come in for a sec. He wanted to show me something online. I didn't think anything of it. Just when I got close to the computer, my brother Michael then grabbed me and covered my mouth while taking a knife and slicing my throat. It happened so quickly. I couldn't understand what was happening until I saw my blood squirt all over the computer. I began to scream and my family were quick to run to the room. My mother was the first person to enter the room. I tried to tell them to run away, but my throat was bubbling every time I exhaled, and the words were too faint to hear. My mother was then stabbed over 40 times. A repetitive rampage of continuously stabbing her. My brother Robert then took a hammer. I'll never forget the sound it made when he sledged my mother across the head. Her one eye had popped out as she had fallen to the floor. They had killed my mother. My father had stepped in while my mother fell to the floor. Confused and in shock, he had no time to protect himself. Michael then took the knife and aggressively stabbed my father over 50 times. The hate in his eyes was unlike anything I've ever seen, a possession like no other. My younger siblings had heard the screaming and hid within their rooms. But my brothers were not finished. They went into each of their rooms, stabbing my 12-year-old brother 9 times, my 7-year-old brother 6 times, and my 5-year-old sister 18 times, mostly in her neck. While Robert and Michael were killing my 2 youngest siblings, Daniel, my 12-year-old brother, was able to call 911. Unfortunately, the call was cut short as the operator could hear Daniel pleading for his life, then screaming as the call went dead. I had hid under my bed and waiting to hear the police arrive. As soon as I heard the sirens, I quickly crawled out from under my bed and ran outside. I had made it no further than my front lawn before I passed out. The police were off in the distance, and my brothers then quickly grabbed me and pulled me back inside. Their plans for all 6 of us was to dismember our bodies. A police officer had broken down our front door. I was able to communicate enough to let them know who the perpetrators were. I could tell by the looks of the police officer's face that it was to take years of therapy and counseling to heal over what he had seen. My brothers Robert and Michael had killed everyone but myself and my 2-year-old sister. I later found out they had planned to cut her head off with an axe. The police had surrounded the house and was able to arrest both my brothers. They later found out that my brothers had planned to put our mutilated bodies in the attic, grab the weapons and steal the car, and go on a massive killing spree. One by one, whoever they saw. After the police had arrested my brothers, my sister and I were then taken to the hospital. The police had discovered video cameras specifically placed in recording their killings. One to show the gore of the killings, and the other, the aftermath of the crime scene without our bodies. These were to be posted online. After an intensive interview, the police were able to discover that my brother Robert had visions of killing my family since he was 13 years old. By the hands of God, I am grateful for my sister and I to be alive. Yet now I live every day haunted by the family I've lost, and the knowing of evil my brothers had become. My brother Robert is now serving life without the possibility of parole, while my brother Michael serves life, but with the possibility of parole. It wasn't long then after, the mayor offered to buy our home. He had planned to demolish it and build a park. But whatever the cause, the house had burned down prior.